Hey everybody, welcome back and good afternoon. Today is Sunday afternoon, and this is another video of Banish the Doubt. And how many times are we sitting here on a Sunday afternoon and we're thinking, oh, Sunday afternoon, we're getting closer to what? Monday, back to work. And I want to sort of lead in to this video today. Today I want to talk about viruses of our body, of our mind. And I also want to touch on placebo effects, and how we're led to believe certain things, and how in our belief system, how it affects our body. So I want to start off with a book aptly titled "You Are the Placebo" by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And I want to give a couple of share a couple of quotes from this, and they're really amazing when you hear these stories. And he talks about the first big breakthrough. A groundbreaking study in the late 1970s showed for the first time that a placebo could trigger the release of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, just as certain as active drugs. In the study, John Levine, PhD of the University of California, San Francisco, gave placebos instead of pain medication to 40 dental patients who had just had their wisdom teeth removed. Not surprisingly, because the patients thought they were getting medicine that would indeed relieve their pain, most reported relief. But then the researchers gave the patients an antidote to morphine called naloxone, which chemically blocks the receptor sites for both morphine and endorphins in the brain. When the researchers administered it, the patient's pain returned. This proved that by taking the placebos, the patients had been creating their own endorphins, their own natural pain relievers. Now, he goes on. Another study in the 70s, this one by psychologist Robert Ader at the University of Rochester, added a fascinating new dimension to the placebo discussion, the element of conditioning. Now, this is key, guys. Conditioning, an idea made famous by Russian psychologist Ivan Pavlov. Now remember that Pavlov, you may understand who that is. Depends on associating one thing with another, like Pavlov's dogs, associating the sound of a bell with food after Pavlov started ringing it every day before he fed them. In time, we all know that dogs were conditioned to automatically salivate in the anticipation of a meal whenever they heard a bell. As a result of this type of conditioning, their bodies became trained to physiologically respond to the new stimulus in the environment. Therefore, in a conditioned response, we could say that a subconscious program, which is housed in the body, seemingly overrides the conscious mind and takes charge. In this way, the body is actually conditioned through repeated past experiences to become the mind. And conscious thought is no longer totally in control. In the case of Pavlov, the dogs were repeatedly exposed to the smell, sight, and taste of the food, and then Pavlov rang a bell. Over time, just the sound of the bell caused the dogs to automatically change their physiological and chemical state without thinking about it consciously. Their autonomic nervous system, the body's subconscious system that operates below conscious awareness, took over. So conditioning creates subconscious internal changes in the body by associating past memories with the expectation of internal effects, what we call associative memory. Until those expected or anticipated end results automatically occur, it's what we call associative memory. Until those expected or anticipated end results automatically occur. The stronger the conditioning, the less conscious control we have over these processes, and the more automatic the subconscious programming becomes. So now that I want that's going to lead right into what I want to talk about this afternoon. This is a very big video today, guys, very big. So, excuses and habits. This is what the average person talks about when we talk about anything success oriented or reaching for something more in our life. Well, you don't know. Our family, we come from that other side of the tracks. Well, you don't know. I mean, no one in our family's ever gone to college. You don't understand. These are, just like I mentioned, subconscious conditioned behaviors, conditioned thinking. So many of us live our lives in this way, and we don't have to. Never underestimate your power to change yourself. This is a quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Never overestimate your power to change another. Forget about changing anybody else. Just do your thing. My father used to tell me all the time, George, just do your own thing. I used to think he was a little selfish in that respect, but now that I'm older, I understand, you know what? Yeah, he was onto something. Um, when you correct your mind, everything else falls into place. When you correct your mind, ladies and gentlemen, everything else falls into place. The number one common denominator of uber successful people is that they hyper focus on their intention and ignore distractions. The number one common denominator with average people is they hyper focus on distractions and ignore intentions, or they make excuses, or they have habitual thinking. I remember one time I was working with a lady who was dealing with arthritis, very bad arthritic conditions. And when I tried talking to her about it, she said, "Oh, George, you don't understand. I've been dealing with this sweetheart for many, many years. It just is the way it is." And I thought, yeah, you're exactly right. People are they're conditioned to believe just to give up. That's just the way it is. I'm different. I'm like everybody else. Nope, everybody else in the world, 6 billion people in the world, are different. I'm different than all of them. But that's just the way people live their life. Not us, not after this. So I want to continue. The more aware we are, the more intention we have. I want to say it again. The more aware we are, the more intention we have. And the more intention we have, things start to open up for us. Serendipities, I talked about it in the past. Serendipitous things start taking place in our life. The definition of intention: anything that I focus on that moves the needle in my favor, also in the favor of those who I was sent to serve. Family, friends, people I serve in the marketplace. Anything else is a distraction. I'll say it again. The definition of intention: anything I focus on that moves the needle in my favor and in the favor of those who I was sent to serve, that being family, friends, and the people in the marketplace. Everything else is a distraction. The definition of a distraction, ladies and gentlemen: anything that does not move the needle in my favor or of those I serve. Virus. And that's what I want to transition now into the virus. We have viruses of our body. We're all been obviously very aware of those, or we understand those. A lot of that's being obviously cancer, right? Now I want to explain the three factors of a virus. The three functions of a virus. The first function of a virus is to duplicate itself. Regardless of who it is in. It's going to duplicate, split, duplicate, split, duplicate, split. The second function of a virus is to infiltrate. Anywhere it sees an opening, it's going to go right in there. It's going to infiltrate. The third function of a virus is to spread to as many bodies as it can be done, or as it is possible. So the three functions of a virus: duplicate, infiltrate, and spread. Many times people will demand antibodies when they get a virus. They'll go to the doctor. And the antibody or antibiotic is going to act like a placebo, just like I was talking about right in the book with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So they're taking this thinking they're getting better, and most times they start feeling better. What, you see? The pill did it. It was an antibody. Okay? So similarly, a virus in our computers acts in the same way. It spreads. It wants to get itself into it's in your computer, but it wants to get into your neighbor's computer as well. But there's also a virus, a third virus. So we have one that's in our body, one that's in our computer, and the third virus is the one that's in our mind. Okay? But it has no particles. You can't see that. You can't see the virus in there. Okay? They're just ideas. The virus in our minds is our ideas, our thoughts, and our beliefs. Okay? That can transfer from one mind to another very easily. So again, just like we talked about with the body within our mind, within our bodies, it spreads, right? Ideas, ideas and beliefs, you can't see them, but they're going to infiltrate. The second function of a virus is to infiltrate. And the third is to spread. So it's going to infiltrate in the mind. Anywhere it sees an opportunity, it's going to get in there. Okay? The third is to spread. And how does a virus of the mind spread? Well, it spreads from maybe your mother, your father, your grandparents, right? Your church, your school where you attended, or the schoolings, multiple schools you attended, your relatives, right? And also your employers. So these are some of the areas how viruses of the mind start to spread. And over time, you're talking about, you're going back ancestrally speaking, right? And I'll talk about that in a second. It turns into cultural norms because it's constantly duplicating itself, and splitting and duplicating. Things we end up taking on these beliefs that they're absolutely true. We tell ourselves about them and we carry them around. When in fact, what we're carrying around are mind viruses, and we don't even realize we're doing it. So cultural norms. Well, I'm Irish, and what's a cultural norm for Irish? Drink, right? You gotta be able to hold your liquor, gotta be able to hold that alcohol. What happens on March 17th? Everybody turns Irish, right? And what you go out there and you drink, a river full of alcohol, and then you don't know where you are for the next couple of days. Cultural norm. It's not. It's a mind virus. Societal viruses. They spread into societies. So what do we see? What do we talk about a virus? What's been going on with these young kids in colleges these last couple of weeks? Is that not a virus that's inside those minds that has spread from faculty down into the students, right? It's gone on in the Middle East for how many generations? So this is the virus that gets into our mind. But how do we change it? Well, here's one quote that you listen to this and write it down. I typed it out for myself to read every so often. My actions and decisions do not create my reality. My state of being does. How I think and how I feel. The assumption or the conviction of the desired end wills the means. It builds a bridge and path of least resistance to everything I desire. Intention, I just talked about that, right? So what is our intention? We hyper-focus on the intention. It said uber successful people do this, hyper focus on our intention and limit distractions. This means all events and incidences, conditions along the invisible bridge imply fulfillment of my desire, no matter what they appear to be. There is one infinite spirit, and every time I say I am, I proclaim it. There is one infinite substance, and every time I move in it. There is one infinite law, and every time I think, I set it in motion. There is one infinite God, and every time I speak to this God, I receive a direct answer. One, one, one. I am God, and there is no one else. So I am God. Now, I don't mean for you to walk away, if you're new to my videos, to walk away from this video and go outside and if you get pulled over by the cops for speeding or whatever and say, excuse me, but yeah, I mean, you know who just pulled over here, but I'm God. I don't mean that. I mean the sense that the I that is inside of me, I am linked to the source energy. I am one with this source energy, this universal conscious. We are we have been operating like this all our lives, generations. It's just that, well, this is the way you do it. So I'm like that. I'm like them. My parents worked in a factory. I worked in a factory. My father was an attorney. I'm an attorney. Source energy, our subconscious mind, universal conscious, doesn't say, well, you shouldn't be doing that. It says, okay, that's what you're thinking about. Do it. What I'm talking about is when we take on this consciousness, these beliefs, and we go away from who we truly are, who we are inside, what we want to be, what stirs inside of us, and we deny that. That's what I'm talking about. Whatever it is that you want to do or be or have, you focus on that. You get away from the excuses and the habitual life that you have been living up until this point. We no longer make excuses and say things like, well, it's too hard, or I don't have enough money, I really can't afford that, or we can't do that, we're not. You get rid of all of that type of thinking. Okay, here is another, I think I have, yes. Abraham Lincoln said, to believe in the things you can see and touch is no belief at all, but to believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing. The question, no, this is not Abraham, that was Abraham Lincoln. This goes on, what I wrote. The question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption of the wish fulfilled and its realization? This is from Neville Goddard. Nothing. It is a delusion that, other than the assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can do anything to aid the realization of your desire. It is delusional. Okay? You think that you can do something, you want to do something, but actually you can do nothing. The illusion of the free will to do is its ignorance of the law of assumption upon which all action is based. Everything happens automatically. All that befalls you, all that is done by you, happens. Your assumptions, my assumptions, conscious or unconscious, direct all thought and action to their fulfillment. Now, it's a long quote. I want to say it again. This is a long quote by Neville, but it ties into what I've been talking about here in this video. Irregardless of what it is you're thinking about, you're going to bring it about because your assumption is your perspective is that. So the question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption of the wish fulfilled and its realization? Nothing, says Neville. It is a delusion that, other than the assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can do anything to aid the realization of your desire. You think you can do something, you want to do something, but actually you can do nothing. The illusion of the free will to do is in ignorance of the law of assumption upon which all action is based. Everything happened automatically. All that befalls you, all that is done by you, happens. Your assumptions, conscious or unconscious, direct all thought and action to their fulfillment. So, We assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is how we overcome the mind virus. From this video forward, guys, you understand that anything that is outside of who you are on the inside, what you feel yourself to be, anything outside of that, you want to get rid of it. You want to just purge it from your mind. You want to start to live your life. Tomorrow is Monday morning. You want to start to live your life that tomorrow is whatever. It could be Monday, it could be Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. There is no more hump day. There is no more, oh God, it's Monday. There are no more, hey, it's happy hour Friday. Not saying you can't do that, but you don't live your life like that. You don't no longer live that way. You live in the moment, every moment. You start to align yourself with that belief, that feeling that's inside of you, the assumption, that voice that stirs, the oak tree that stirs, that sits inside of the acorn. You are the acorn. The mighty oak is inside of you. Allow it to grow. Understand this mind virus that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. You want to deny the evidence of the senses, as is what you can see and hear, and assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Assume in this moment that you already are a millionaire. I don't care if you're sitting in a 200 square foot apartment. It's a studio, and you open your front door to your studio, and you almost hit your stove. I, it doesn't matter where you are physically. It only matters where you are here inside your mind. Okay? You look around this apartment and you see whatever it is that you want to, how you want to live, where you want to live. I'm just going to put this out there. You see the open concept kitchen and dining room, and maybe the fireplace with the fireplace going, and you hear the crackling of the wood. You look outside and you see the driveway with your Range Rover, your Mercedes Benz, BMW, whatever it may be. You see it in your mind. You go to sleep at night, you see it. You can almost feel it and taste it. This is how you bring the future to you. You align yourself with that. And now, as I'm saying this about an apartment and living in a condo or a house or whatever it may be, as you're listening to this, you can close your eyes and see yourself with, if it's arthritic condition, it's gone. You're able to stand up without your back hurting. You can bend without your knees hurting. Whatever it may be, you start to live in this moment as if you're living because it all is now anyway. This is how we transcend and get above and defeat the virus of the mind. This is how you do it. This is the only way it's ever been done for centuries. You go back to the days of the Roman Empire. Marcus Aurelius and others, Plato, were talking this way. There's a reason why you don't hear about this in schools. You never hear about this in the church. There's a reason why, ladies and gentlemen, because the more you feel and act like you are right now, listening to me and thinking this way, the less control they have over you. You see now, because if you're Irish and on March 17th you go out and get smashed and you can barely operate for the next couple of days, good. It's exactly where they want you. That's exactly how they want you. They want you stumbling drunk and not controlling yourself. They want you going through this life feeling like, yeah, there's this lady with the arthritic condition. You know how much money the pharmaceutical companies are making off of her? That's crazy. You see what I'm saying? But you're different. You're here. You're here today watching this video. You have it within you. I can see it. I can feel it within you. You're here watching me. If you're doing that, man, lady, you are way ahead of everybody else. This is your turning. This is the fork in the road. This is your stake in your ground. Say no more. No more going back there. This is it. Like William Wallace said, they can take everything, but they can never take your freedom. that freedom that lies within inside you, that mighty oak that sits inside that acorn. That's who you are. Grab a hold of that. No more excuses. No more habitual thinking. This is who you are. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm so humbled by all the comments that I receive and the subscriptions. Thank you so much. I'm learning how to change things. I'm not all that technically savvy with YouTube. So if anybody watching this, you guys know how to help build the back office or whatever it is in YouTube, I'd be greatly appreciated, because I'm going to start to expand this. I am doing it. I will do it. But until I see you guys again, God bless. Have a great afternoon. Have a great the rest of your weekend. If you haven't done so already, just feel free to comment down below. Let me know how things are going in your life. If this has helped you in any way, or maybe you started to watch some of my videos, things are starting to churn and change differently in your life. Let me know that as well. And please, if you feel so inclined, share this video and other videos with other people, because like I've said before, the more people get to see these types of videos, the more we are able to heal the world. One person at a time, one video at a time, one share at a time. Thank you guys. I love each and every one of you. And until I see you again, God bless. Have a great afternoon.